Transcribes it for you
It
too.
does, yeah.
Ooh, too spooky. What? There's a thing that's unplugged.
I don't know why they keep doing that today. That's what it is. That's what it is. How hard is it to just leave it plugged in?
You got a light on now.
Hey. Waking up. There we go. Okay. Ready whenever you are.
Right. Facilities meeting, Groveland Public Library, call to order at 5:06 PM. We have a quorum. So let's begin the meeting. All right.
Would you like to start with farmer's market?
Yes, well, we have a distinguished guest here tonight, so I'll let him introduce himself and then.
Great. Scott Abraham, I run the Gilsland Farmers Market for 9 years. In the past 2 years, we've been here, going on our third year at the library, which we would like to come back. And I know we spoke last year, if everything went good, we maybe sign a 3-year lease or whatever. I think that would bump up people's confidence in coming to the market. There's a lot of people, you know, post-corona, everyone stayed inside. So now everyone's okay with staying inside. You know, there's kind of sprinkle, I'm staying inside. So we have to do things to get more people in here. So like I watched the Park Farmers Market, I'm having Meatball Fest, I'm having Family Day, I'm having Eco Day, which I like to talk to Eco Day about you guys. You know, we have an apple pie contest in the winter time or fall. I like to bring that back here too. So first is, it would be during the same hours as the farmers market. But I'm thinking bringing, like for the Eco Fest, we bring a whole bunch of eco vendors, all natural, you know, that some that would not be out of the market will come just because it's a specialized market. We'll also have like EV cars out here and everything. I think this would be exciting because then people can come. They have different, you know, EV cars, hybrid cars, you know. I would love to get an Audi that runs on hydrogen, you know, just in California, this was 15 years ago. We had a car that ran on algae. You know, we had the hydrogen car back then. You don't hear about the hydrogen car now, even though that's going to be much better and less toxic than the EVs because of the batteries. So I just wanted to make sure that was okay with you guys.
Where would you get the cars from? Where would they come?
It would be from the dealers. The dealers would come and they would get charged per car. So I just don't want one, like I don't want Ford to come and bring all their cars. I'd rather have different car companies come in.
Would they get charged?
I would charge them. Yeah.
Right.
That's how you make money. That's how you make money for advertising. And this year, I feel like I have to dump a lot of money into advertising and not music. Music doesn't really draw people to the farmers market like a lot of people think. But if I can use that money instead of paying $200-300 for musicians a market, if I take that and put that towards marketing, I think that will go a longer way, you know. So like and if we do a meatball fest here, I'd probably call it something different, but I think we can still get away with meatball fest. But I would have different Italian restaurants come. They would come and bring a tray. People can sample it, each one, and then they get to vote on it. I like to have a kids day, you know, where we bring in like face painters and have different tables for kids to make things and stuff like that. That being said, on Sundays, do you guys ever rent out that spare room?
Typically, no. With the library being closed,
So-
we're typically not inviting more people.
So you wouldn't be
to
able, I wouldn't be able to rent out that spot.
I don't think so.
No, okay. So I was thinking about doing like, paint and sips or, decorating cookies, making birdhouses, stuff like that, but, I'll try to figure a way to do that outside.
Mhm.
All right, so that room is up.
Yeah. Yep.
What about the restroom?
So that's a good question. So last year, as a reminder for everyone, we did use porta potties as the restroom. I set out pricing earlier. The porta potties are a couple $100s a month. In order to get staff here on the weekend, I can't compel any of our staff to work. It has to be volunteer based. Having one custodian here all summer would be prohibitively expensive. It would be a lot just to open the building. So I don't know that having the building open is a great idea.
Okay.
There's a lot of hoops to jump through. I'd have to get people who are willing to work, and then I'd have to pay for them. And that it adds up quickly.
Yeah, no, because some of my vendors wondered, you have library staff here during this Sunday. Why wouldn't that restroom be able to be open?
Typically, we don't have library staff. Like I'm here last year on Sundays. Like it was me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, but in my vendor's mind, you guys are employees of the
Oh,
library.
yeah.
So they're thinking, well, because when another director was here,
Mhm.
he was like, well, I just go use the restroom in the library in front of my vendors. My vendors are like, well, why, if you can use it, why can't we use it?
Right.
So my vendor's mind, they're like, the library doesn't care about us because they set up, they're here, they're staffed, and we can't use their bathroom, but they can.
Yeah.
So my vendors were a little pissed about that.
And that might be.
Can the porta potties be closer? Do they have to be that far, or how does that?
So
I'm just curious, 'cause
yeah.
some of the people that have to walk all the way over there, the people that are disabled or have trouble, elderly.
we can put them wherever we want, but wherever we put them, that's where they're staying for the summer. Like we can't move
Okay.
them.
Okay. I was just wondering if there was kind of far for some, I heard some other people saying, oh, I had to walk way down there,
No, I had that also.
You'll just write that complaint for why the porta potties blocking the view or smelling or whatever.
Right. Or taking up better parking spots.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What about your loading dock?
That space needs to be open.
That's what.
Yeah, because like there's vehicles coming in and out of there.
Oh, there
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
Okay.
Not necessarily on Sundays, but the rest of the
No,
week.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd be happy to help clarify that with any of your vendors, that it's not that we don't care,
Yeah.
but also like we don't have staff in the building. Any staff who show up are coming to help set up the farmer's market, and
Yeah.
then that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's also a best practice not to only have one staff member in the building, like just in case there's an emergency. Worst case scenario, like it could have happened where I came to help set up and like I hit my head or have a heart attack or something, and I'm the only one back here. So those are just the challenges with the building being closed. Like it's pretty difficult. It's a lot of hurdles. But have you given any thought? Would you be interested in being on here on a different day, or is it like Sunday or?
I would love to change here on Saturdays. I can get the Mennonites to come down here.
Mhm.
It'd be such a better farmer's market, but I can't.
Okay,
I can't move Washington Park to a Sunday. That would kill Washington Park.
sure.
And so I gotta take the better of less evil on that one, or
Yeah.
that's phrase. I said it the wrong way.
The lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the better of two evils.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You've invented a new phrase. But yeah,
Pointed his trademark.
but yeah, if you were interested in doing a different day, like that would eliminate a lot of the hurdles for us because that's the only day we're closed in
Yeah.
the summer.
Reason why, like Tim and I were talking about Sundays way back in the day was because it was like not a lot of people went to the library on Sundays, So the thing was, let's try it one year. Maybe we'll open up the library on Sundays, that we can get a lot more people coming in from the traffic from the farmers market, and then vice versa. People come here, they can go to the farmers market. But yeah, with what you're saying with staffing and getting, unless you guys want to shut down on a Monday and
Right.
open up on the Sunday, How are your Mondays? Pretty busy?
Yeah, there's not another day that I would trade for a
Yeah,
Sunday.
okay, cool.
And it is also literally written into our contracts that we're
Yeah,
closed on
yeah.
Sundays, you know? So it would take a lot of doing.
Now, is it the labor union?
Yeah, we're a union organization. So,
Is it the labor union or is it a different union?
oh, no, sorry, it's a CSEA.
Okay.
Mhm.
I know someone in the CFA if you ever want
Yeah.
to.
You know, I might take you up on that negotiation time.
Okay, so there's that. So, I think that's it from my side, basically.
How did you feel and how did your vendors feel about, this past season? How did everyone think it went?
It died out, but all farmers market died out.
Mhm.
Every farmers market, at least I spoke to in New York, everyone was down and attendance was down. That's why I said I have to do specialized days to bring more people in. I got to think outside the box to get more people here, to get them off their couch to come,
Mhm.
And Sundays, they don't have kids games, on Saturdays. So a lot of parents still want to stay home, but how do we get those families with kids to get to the farmers market? So that's something that we were thinking about. I was thinking about. I also want to come up with a way. I can do 40 vendors or I can do 60. I don't think I'll ever get to 60, just because Schenectady has theirs. Maybe longer than I have. But I want to try to get the vendors closer together because right now they're so far apart and everyone just walks down the middle of the road, and there's no chance, to try to say, hey, try this.
Right on that, yeah, they are. It is big spaces between.
So I'm gonna try to close that down, but that's gonna leave a lot more space on the backside. And I still don't want any cars parking, I don't like the way that looks. Schenectady does it, and I think it looks horrible, man. So I want to try to move them closer. One other thing what I started seeing a lot of people doing was starting to eat and sit down.
Mhm.
I have a lot of places for them to eat and sit down.
Mhm.
I mean, do you guys pack out? Is that where your employees park?
Up top, yeah.
Okay.
Well, typically, it's not like employees only, but that's where we ask them to park.
Does it ever get like,
It's rare that it's like bumper to bumper. It can get full, but it's rare.
I was thinking if I bring in a tree guy that sells apervites or whatever those bushes, if we put them in nice planters and we'll sell them there, that's the way I get them for free.
Mhm.
I think it will make that space a little bit more welcoming. We are on concrete.
Mhm.
It's 100% sun, 100% of the time. And just on that black asphalt, I think soften it up, maybe bring in some apervites. Do we have to move them? We can move them or maybe get a dolly. But that and picnic tables,
Mhm.
is that something you guys would be willing to do?
So we actually did have a conversation, myself and Jason, our facilities manager, about activating that space a little bit more. I think whatever we tried to plant up there previously didn't survive
Oh, on
or
the hill?
thrive. Yeah. So it's something we're actively talking about.
Well, one of my farmers told me the reason why it's not surviving because you have a rodent.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And that rodent is killing all your bushes because they go in and they eat the roots.
Gotcha.
And he saw, like, it was last year,
You showed me the,
Yeah,
yep, the spot. Yep,
remember.
yeah, yep. Yeah, but no, that is something we've actively been talking about, so we can keep having that conversation. Because, it is like seating options are limited and most of them are down here in front of the library. So if we do want to use that side of the building a little bit more.
What would you do? What do you mean you would put the trees up there? I mean, they would stay there during the week or you would take them in and out on each Sunday?
I wouldn't take them in and out. I would, if you wanted me to move them all into the corner, I would move them all into the corner. But we're talking about, I would make a nice wooden planter with that tree base with the ball root, still covered, it would be in there. And then we would just have a pallet jack to move them around. So you know how we go like this and then another square in between, we would put, in between the vendors, we would put these apervites that, probably about 5 feet tall with the planter, probably 6 or 7 feet tall. It brings more green space into a parking lot that's.
Yeah, right. And what would you do? Have a price tag on it, and there would be a vendor there to say, if you want to buy this thing?
It would be with me, or I mean, I'm always there almost 100% of the time. Very rarely. I had to miss 2 last year because of health reasons. But yeah, I would be there, and they would be able to either buy it, and then I'll have the guy I got it from deliver one to him, or you can just keep it there and go that route. And at the end of the season, you might be left with 20 arborvitaes to plant around your library if you so choose. And if not, you know, you can always donate them. I can always donate them. But I'm just trying to make it less of a parking lot.
Yeah, right. No,
But let's not lose sight of the fact that that is its intention, is to be a parking lot.
No, I know. No, it was always the parking lot. I understood that. Well, you did a great job. in the
Thank
parking
you.
lot.
It-
looks
It's great as a parking lot.
And the rain doesn't puddle.
Yep.
great semantic parking lot or parking lot.
Yeah, I do think we're open to other ideas about that space up there. So nothing I can commit to today.
No, I know. I totally. I just wanted to lay the groundwork.
And where would they put, like, where could you put picnic tables? Where would that be?
It's relatively flat up there once you go on the other side of the parking lot.
Okay.
And then it doesn't help for the farmer's market, but we do have a lot of green space on the bottom, like running along this side of the building.
I'm okay with that too, because
Yeah,
people want to, like, the husband, I'll go ahead, honey, go smell some candles. Let me take the kid over here.
right.
Then they'll go down there. So, I mean, that's okay too. I think that's great.
Yeah, that space is also flat. It's a little bit marshier on that side. It's, you know, there's swampland over there. So we'd have to look at what would work. But kind of anywhere along that far eastern edge of the property.
Or even on top, when you have the sidewalk
Mhm.
on the far next to the house, that's also out over there too.
Mhm.
You know, so I mean, when we can pick them up and move them, you know, my vendors are willing to do anything to make it look less like a parking lot than it is. And we understand we're in a parking lot, you know. But I have vendors that we have Washington Park, which is beautiful. You know, vendors are never happy, you know. I have 120 kids, so.
It just seems to me that, you know, it would be a fairly labor intensive, even if these things are on dollies, to be wheeling them around, put them in a corner during the week, so the parking lot is the parking lot, and then wheeling them out.
I will have people, I guarantee that would help me, because I'll tell them, if you don't help me, well, you can't come here then.
Yeah, and to your point, Bill, I wouldn't want to let the tail wag the dog on this one. I think it's if we can make that space more appealing and it benefits the farmer's market, that's awesome. I wouldn't want to do something just for 8 weeks per year.
Yeah.
You know, and then have to take it down or do it over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think as we think about that space, we can think about applications. for the farm.
And don't worry about moving the trees, or I don't want to say trees, because everyone's gonna be like, 40-foot trees. I'm talking about arborvitaes that are a little skinny and they grow tall. And a pallet jack is so easy to maneuver and use.
Mhm.
That won't be a problem. I can get a pallet jack for free, so. So moving them, that would be on us. The picnic tables, wherever you guys want, you know, we wouldn't move them, we would keep them there. But we could also probably work out a deal with somebody where he could be selling picnic tables. We get them for free. And then maybe if you guys want to keep them, then you work with him on a cheaper price if you liked it, but if not, then so be it.
Sure.
You know? But anything and any little things, that's what I'm looking after, you know, nowadays. I'm not looking for a home run. No one gets a home run anymore, man. You know, swing it out. That's all I'm asking right now.
Make contact.
Yeah, exactly.
Of a couple of things that you mentioned, our most recent contract did specify a maximum of 50 vendors. So if you wanted to go up to 60, we'd have to look at that.
I think we won't have to change that.
Okay.
Not this year.
And then in terms of a 3-year contract, I would run that by the library's legal counsel. It could be the last contract was just for 1 year, and I don't know if that was intentional or.
Well, no, it was just like, I thought I was getting the 5-year last year, you know, because I spoke to Tim about the 5-year before he came out.
Mhm.
And then I think when you, myself, and yeah, we spoke about doing 3-year
Mhm.
instead of 5-year, because that might be more presentable to the board than a 5-year.
Mhm.
I mean, in the 2 years I've been here, I think We don't leave that parking lot dirty, and we respect the park of the library a lot.
Mhm.
And we tend to do that, you know, we will tend to keep doing it.
How many years have you been doing this now?
This will be my 9th year in Gilderland,
That year at this point,
our 8th year in Gilderland. This will be our 3rd year.
30 year here.
Because Tim was 1 year, you were last year, right? I don't think I was 2 years here with them.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, Tim would have been the previous year and then.
Yeah,
second
how long
year,
you, how
so,
long you
it'll be a year in May.
been? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Feels like longer some days, but
this will be our 4th year then. Because Tim was 2 years then, and because when you guys first opened up after the pandemic or during the pandemic,
Mhm.
or you had the ribbon cutting and everything, when was that? Because that was our first year here.
2022, does that sound
It was
right?
before mine.
Yeah, I think 2022.
2022, so this is, yeah, we're working on it. Let's see.
This will be your 4th summer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of all these things that you're proposing about the eco cars and the Beanball Fest and the kids' days. Fees and everything, you know, I think, you know, the contract basically says, you know, you pay us $200 a rent and, you leave it as you found it. And, you have all the insurance that's required to back up that business deal. So then yeah, that's pretty much the essence of the deal. And that's pretty much everything we've talked about sort of fits within the contract except for the term. I don't know. I would imagine that all the insurance stuff, I mean, it's, you know, that covers all the additional stuff you're talking
It
about.
does. It's nuts and bolts and screws and everything. The only thing I'm asking for a 3-year one was just because I didn't know how it was going to work out with Tim and the library here. I think it's working out really well.
Right.
And I think it's another way to get more exposure. Like, hey, you're the one signing a 3-year market with the library. Now you get the library free publicity. You get the market free publicity. And I think that's just something the news would pick up because it's a good, happy story. I don't know, maybe they don't like happy stories anymore, but
We need some good stories.
No, I mean, in terms of you said that attendance though was going down a little bit. And I mean, with attendance going down, would you be looking for another place than this, or is this basically?
No.
what you get?
I mean, there's there's places that want me to move there and go there.
Yeah.
But I think this fits. And I do like being connected to the library because it makes it more community based
Yeah.
in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I think in other people's eyes when you hear a farmer's market at a library, you know, so I think I really like that. My vendors want me to move back to the corner where we were.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. What reasons? And church asked me, and then they asked me to go back to another place or whatever. But no, I'm not looking for a place. I think this is good. I just have to learn I have to get people to get off the couch and get outside, which is the problem with restaurants and bars. I mean, Denny's is closing all stores. Red Robin's closing 70 stores.
Really?
Oh yeah, it just came out today. About Denny's came out a couple of days ago, or a week ago, but yeah, Red Robin's going down.
I mean, in terms of like library, we've had all positives on this, right?
Yep.
There's really been no.
No, and it fits our mission. It fits our role as a community hub. Like I look at the farmers market the same way I look at like the hosting elections, hosting blood drives. Gilderland doesn't have a lot of gathering places, and we're one of them. So it fits with what we do.
I don't really see a big issue with the 3 years, but I think you know, we run it by.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
You got run by a lot of people. Do you guys move faster than you did?
I like to think I do, but you know.
Hey, that was for you, Tim, if you're watching.
Yeah, no, we'll run it by the legal counsel and the insurance broker and see if they have any thoughts. Timeline, when does the farmer's market start back up there?
First weekend in July,
July?
and then the first week in October.
Yep.
We'll do it like I'll do a harvest fest this year and make it bigger, you know? I was running 3 markets last year. I just couldn't, and Rensselaer Market was such a cluster mess. It was Democrats versus Republicans in that whole town, and they killed the market. You know,
Where is this?
Rensselaer. The first year I had it, it was amazing on Thursday nights. It was great. And then the next year it was like the mayor was upset that I didn't go through him. The common council is against the mayor's against the common council. So they're not moving anywhere in strides. And it was just not lucrative for any of my vendors. And there's an instance that happened with one of the city employees who was one of my vendors, which didn't sit well. So I was definitely not going back there. I will help them, you know, if they need help or want help to do it on their own, I'll do that. But I know none of my vendors will be going down there.
Right, it's just, is this what you do for a living or is this?
This is what I
side
do
job?
for a living.
Yeah, right.
That I used to coach international lacrosse, but I had surgery and I couldn't for the past 2 years now. So this would be the second year. Hopefully, I'm going back in May and June to go back because it's an Olympic sport now. So a lot of these countries, you know, are gearing up for the Olympics because some of these countries don't have so many teams that can get into the Olympics. So lacrosse is a way to get your country into it. And they actually dumb down lacrosse. So it's not, you know, 10 people playing. It's like 6-on-6 now. So you don't have to have a lot of players to do it, you know. I mean, if you look at a regular college game, you have 60 kids on the sideline. You know, there's not countries don't even have 60 kids. You know, so they made lacrosse a little bit easier for countries to do. But that wasn't my breadwinner either.
Are you do like multiple farmers markets on the weekend days or?
So I don't know. I started doing pop-ups in downtown Albany in the warehouse district, which I'm still testing the waters down there because eventually there's so many apartment buildings going down there. And once they knock down the warehouse district or that meatpacking building, I mean, that's going to be another, 300-400, you know, units. Huck Finn's has 200, 300 units, you know? So then there's no grocery store around
No,
there.
right, exactly.
Yeah, you know, so I'm trying to do pop-ups, but when I was in California, all I did was 2 events. I did the Earth Day event and I did the Eco event where we took over Venice Beach. I made enough money to live comfortably in California. Okay. Here, I'm running farmers markets every week for 4 months, man. And I'm lucky if I'm eating mayonnaise sandwiches with salt, you know? So I am working on one huge event this year. And if that is good, then that would take a lot off of me. And I would turn Washington Park into a 501c3 and have the neighborhood associations, you know, and those people involved and have a board and everything. Reason why I don't like a board, it takes forever to get things done and everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
So in a farmer's market, you need to get things done right away and jump on things. And sometimes you don't have that luxury. So that's why I stayed away from a 501c3 instead of a sole proprietorship. So
Anything else you have for us on this or?
do you have any winning numbers for the lotto?
Thank you, Scott.
Well, thank you. Are we good? Do I need to stay?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, no. Do you want me to stay? I mean, what are you guys talking about?
There were facility stuff.
Wait, what, Mom? Mom's calling me, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. You too.
Appreciate it.
Okay. It was good seeing you.
Yeah, likewise.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a good night. Just make sure I go around.
Whichever way you like. Have a good night.
You too.
Green space, 440 a week is, that's.
Well,
ballpark.
It's a little much.
More than, you need green to have green.
I had an idea. I was wondering, should we reach out to like the Gilderland Garden Club and ask if they want to donate plants? Can we do something along that lines or we wouldn't have to buy it or we would, and then they could like, we could say that Gilderland Garden Club donated a plant and I was just wondering, could we do
Sure.
something like that?
So
Or
from talking to the vendors for the actual greenery, something they felt very strongly about is that it's not the greenery, it's the maintenance.
Yeah.
Something you would hate to have like The only thing worse than no green space is brown green space.
Yeah.
So if they donated it, they would need to donate their time and their maintenance too. Like, I think that would actually be.
So we couldn't like if they donate, like say they donated a couple flowers or plants, the library staff couldn't water it? or
We
something?
could, but if they got root rot, some sort of whatever goes wrong with plants, like I
If they were willing to come in and help, would that be?
I think it's something we could explore, but I would really want like a commitment for like an expert to be taking care of them.
Okay.
Like my
Is there?
my plants at
is
home
there-
are okay,
Yeah,
but
is there like a garden club something and like if they donated and say could they come in and like you're saying, could they come in and water it or check it or?
yeah,
Or-
whatever we worked out would have to have that as part of it. It couldn't just be like, oh yeah, we'll give you some plants and then if we have time, we'll come in. It'd be like, no, you need to be here every
Okay.
week, same
Okay.
time, like
I was just curious.
strong commitment. But yeah, that's it's pricey, and I'll lump the TV monitors in there as well while we're talking about activating the space. Is far too cost prohibitive. We are waiting for a price quote. We had a vendor come in who did our signage, like where it says self-checkout and checkout and all of that, because we need room markers for Norman Skill, Telecentha, and the children's programming room. So we're getting pricing for signage. And that company asked us, they said, oh, do you have any plans for above the aquarium? And apparently they had given us a quote years ago during the renovation. So I asked them to just refresh that quote for us.
For what?
For vinyl, like the welcome sign that we have. So same kind of idea.
Let me just ask you, so we say that the screen is $30,000.
Mhm.
That's really expensive, but why is that prohibitive? I don't really have a good sense of the budget enough to say,
It's
a $30,000 one-time addition here that has got multi-uses. Why is that price tag for that thing not viewed as something that is just, it is,
and that's where my reaction came from, is I was startled by the size of that number. And in terms of our overall budget, like it's not cost prohibitive in terms of the overall budget, but I think for something that's a nice to have, it's a pretty expensive nice to have.
yeah.
And having it since it grew out of the original idea of having a mural there, I think if we're comparing options, it's going to be the most expensive option is a screen.
And, just as I think about it, we have the fish tank there. And you really want the fish tank to be the optical draw as opposed to the pilot fish to the the barnacle to the whale of the screen.
Right. Yeah, the aquarium is, the main event over there. One of the ideas I was kicking around is, I think an original idea was like making it literally say welcome, like as a welcome to the library. I think we could explore that idea a little bit more. Gilderland, the town, doesn't have a ton of like welcome to Gilderland signage. So we could use that space if we either went the vinyl route or the mural route as a welcome to Gilderland space.
I like your idea of it being outside though too, like that's the other,
I-
that was, having a mural outside.
Mhm. We had talked about activating some of our wall space with an outdoor mural. I like that better too, 'cause it's easier to take a picture in front of, and like you can take a picture in front of it when we're not
Yeah,
open.
not all crowded in front of it, right?
But the challenge there is I think it's brick. It's not like a smooth surface.
This walk,
It's either that wall or the wall on the other side.
skeptical of anything on the outside brick.
It-
Number one, it's rough, and then number two, the weather effects on it are just gonna be,
That's true.
just the maintenance of their.
It's a whole different set of
The
considerations.
brick might look a little boring, but it's nice boring.
Boring can be okay.
Not eyesore boring.
But yeah, but if we want to explore welcome as a concept, like we could look at vinyl for that space that just does a welcome to Gilderland kind of thing.
Not that wild about that, because we're right in the middle of Gilderland, you know what I mean? I have a welcome to Gilderland, the roundabout where I lived there.
Oh, sure.
Welcome to Gilderland there. I think that's sort of like, okay, that's where you've been welcome. You've been here for a while by the time you get here.
Yeah,
So
But hopefully by next month's meeting, I'll have a price quote for vinyl. And that pretty much will encompass all of the options we talked about: mural, vinyl, electrical, and green space.
Mural, is somebody still looking at that idea, or do we have something actually in hand on that?
We don't have anything in hand. We kind of put that down while we explored the other options.
I did have numbers and they were so expensive, so like,
Do you remember what ballpark?
they had prices for like each part of the wall that they wanted to do, and it was just,
Was that, but
It's like
what
astronaut.
about just that wall down there, the one over the fish tank?
yeah, like, I could get a price for that.
Or if you still have the quotes and they.
Yeah, I still have the person I was talking to, so I could always go back. I just said for now, we're not exploring it, but that doesn't mean we can't. If we go back for that.
Yes, refresh the quote.
But it was like a quote for like each area they wanted to do, and that was one of the areas.
Mhm.
And it was just, they had a set price. Price right for it.
Yeah.
So it was like. But it's the one over by the fish tank, that one?
Yeah, like that flat section above the aquarium.
Okay. Cause they wanted to do the whole library, and it was like ridiculous.
Of course they did.
Yeah. It's like, but it was just like so much, it was like.
Yeah, and then the green space quote, we had them price out doing a lot of the building. It's the same thing. They wanna
Yeah.
get the biggest price.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you still working with I know you're still working on the high school on this idea of the art concept with the school?
Yeah,
School.
yeah, and I was done trying to get like the elementary and middle school too, so I'm still trying to, not to just limit it to the high school, but open it up to the other.
This page here with that height there, my concept of it is like two banners that we can hang on each side of that pipe
Mhm.
that schools make, and
Oh.
that are representative of a class year, like
Mhm.
senior class or some year
I was
that's
trying to pursue like the art there too, like having the seniors put their art there, that was the other thing too, so.
I like the.
I think a banner.
But a banner is
That
nice.
you could hang, and then, it just scrolls down, and then, each year,
Oh, like I was thinking horizontal, like a vertical banner, you're thinking, yeah.
with a bar, goes to the top of it, and you just get a thing.
Mhm. I mean, we've got a scissor lift too, we can get up
That
there.
would be, sort of a banner that they just made, and, one on this side, one on that side, and then, not gonna do anything. But just that bar just sort of, interrupts the space to do anything, but do interesting things that are made by the school there. I'm sure that they come up with ideas for it.
Yeah. I think putting something, we've talked about that space a few times, like I think that's a really good solution.
Yeah.
I already have connections in building at the school, so I could ask
Yeah.
about that. That would be. I have different people all over the school now I'm talking to. So I got like, so. Okay.
Now, this one, in terms of, vinyl up there, just what that theme would be, that would be, that's the tough one.
Yeah, and with vinyl, you don't want to change it too often, but we could change it every 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's less permanent than a mural, but
Yeah.
it's still semi-permanent.
How did they affix that to the wall? Is it glued on? Is that what it is?
I think it's glue from doing the maintenance, but I can ask the vendor.
So what would we put there that would complement that space that also speaks to?
And doing something semi-evergreen.
Maybe a view from,
Have some park or
not Tower Center Park, the Indian Ladder up there,
Oh, wow.
Thatcher Park.
Yep, Thatcher.
Thatcher Park, just, that view of, you get some sky in it, because with the skylight, you want that to be picking up the sky piece of the ceiling, as
Mhm.
opposed to half cave and dark and whatever, like this is all woods here, this one here, this is very colorful, very woodsy. I think that one up there, just with the flow of the building, it would be sort of like you're indoors, but you're sort of outdoors, and you're outdoors with one of the great views of Guilderland. I mean, because that view up there Yeah, the only thing that's there is that damn, industrial
Yeah, that the warehouse district there kind of breaks it up.
thing we did for World War II. The gifts that go on giving, but,
It's an old armament factory.
so you could come up with a way that was not in the picture.
Well, I like where you're going because if we're encouraging people to look up, it's a natural that if it's more sky and the tops of trees, like it would flow to have people look up. And it also, that kind of speaks to imagination, to vision, to aspiration, which are all things that we promote here.
You know, and, just while we're on the theme, I just, once again, local stuff, but, next to the fish tenders that out with the inside of there, something like the reservoir, the Watervliet Reservoir.
Mhm.
It's, but you know, there's some really nice, a lot of cranes and
Mhm.
herons and stuff. Maybe some herons.
Next to the fish tank, yeah. Teach kids about the circle of life.
That's what happened to my fish. I have a white pond in my bed.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's relatively, I bought my house in this, there was a koi pond back there, and I saw the area where the pond was in the winter time, and it was relatively, okay, I can deal with that. Odd. I got there, came back to China, after retirement, came home, and I saw what my backyard was. Did this thing with 2 waterfalls, and, 3 waterfalls, actually. Waterfalls, 3 streams. But, and I've been running it for 11 years now, so. No, but I had a ton of koi fish in it, and
Errands.
then Aaron, something came along, and I think it was a snapping turtle or something got in and got all the little ones, left the big ones. And a heron came by at a very expensive lunch. He was like 3 of them, one at a time. So, that's my wife. There was some new. I was afraid it's a frog pond now.
A little less exciting than a koi
But,
pond.
but the frogs, I don't really care if the heron comes down, they can sort of do their own thing, hop away and whatever, But the koi, I had to put nets on it, and it's just a pain in the butt. And when I put the nets on, it makes it more difficult to clean and all that. So it just adds complications.
Sounds like a money pit. Yeah, geez.
It is a money pit. It's a labor pit for dead. Just everybody comes back to my yard and says, "Oh, it's so beautiful back here." Yeah,
They didn't have to do the work. Yeah.
I'm a park ranger. So what else do we need to talk about?
Still trying to get some of the kids to make like sculptures of fish or things like that to put like around the tank too. Like, I think that would look cool. Like something
Absolutely.
like to accent it. So there's like, so that's the other, I'm still working on that part of it. So that's another option too. I'm trying to.
You feel you got that under control. I mean, working with kids to come up with stuff, and at some point we're gonna start to see stuff come in, or
Yeah, we had one girl that sent art that a lot of the kids are still working on it. So I'm just waiting for them. I'm like, once you're done with it, just give me a picture and then we can.
Mhm.
So that's how I'm trying to like.
so at some point we can debate and tell the board that at some point in time we're gonna start seeing.
Yeah, I did send some
You
that.
sent some my way, yep. And the next item on the agenda was I identified some spots for student art, and I've had a little bit of a change of heart since I sent this recommendation. So I'm concerned about this side wall just because of the sun damage or the direct sunlight rather. I'd be worried about art getting sun damaged. But when you go to the aquarium, there's 2 huge swaths of wall space. One's got like 1 bit of baseball memorabilia on it, which can move. But then I'd originally discounted the fireplace side because I'm like, oh, there's less foot traffic, but it could be a good way to get foot traffic into the rest of the building. There's nothing on the walls back by the fireplace. So that's actually a primo spot for art.
Yeah.
And I did look at the teen space. There's just no wall space in the room. So I would hate to try to sequester all of the art.
They
that
would
one
be
outdoor
interested
spot.
like in the area that's like out,
Mhm.
where like the entrance area, like
Yeah,
somewhere that was where they.
I think it's just so limited there that if we,
Okay.
like, we'd really be limiting the amount we get put up there. But I think either the aquarium or the fireplace, we could dedicate those whole sections to art.
Okay.
And I think, especially if we start marketing as what we refer to as icon marketing, and just being like, here's a cool reason to come to the library, we encourage people to move throughout the building.
What do you mean when you say the foundry? What's the foundry that you?
The teen space is called the Foundry. Yeah.
In terms of, you know, previous, people that exhibited here, getting them to put some of their artwork in.
We haven't reached out yet, but we've got a stable of folks who have exhibited in the Helderberg room. At any time, I think we could reach out to them and ask for a selection or to ask if their artists want to come back. I think we'd have no problem getting people.
So, in terms of like, is that something your staff does that they can reach out and do?
It's something they can do. We haven't done it, but we could. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like, I'm trying to think of, you know, the memo that you sent around, some of the issues that you're dealing with.
Oh, sure.
You come up with ideas here and then, sort of.
And I don't mind reaching out to places too, because I've been reaching out to the school, so if you need me to reach out to some of the places, I don't mind.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, no,
I don't mind taking that away so they don't have to do it. I don't mind doing it.
appreciate it. No, they typically go through the administrative office, so I don't think it'd be very difficult for the team to reach back out.
Okay, that's what I'm offering. If they don't- if they-
That's awesome, and I
they-
might take you up on it.
If they don't want to take that on, or because I know some of them were saying like that's not in my job, or so if you're getting like pushback like that, I don't mind,
Appreciate it.
because I've been doing it with the school, so I don't mind doing it with other.
Yeah, no, thank
I like calling people, so I don't mind. And I seem to get them to do things too, so I'm
you. Hey,
like.
if it's working.
Yeah. So I just want to throw it out there. If they're not comfortable with it, I don't mind calling them and getting them to.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So. What else do we need to say on?
I don't have anything else.
So we have a number of ideas coming in from the school and some options for reaching out to previous vendors
Mhm.
and buying for the. I think we'll get some more details about how you put it on and how would we come up with, what's the idea for coming up with the idea that's going to be on it? What do you think? What do we think our timeline would be to
Get something up there. I think the biggest, I think the most amount of time would be spent on what we want the design concept to be, and then reaching out and finding an artist or a vendor or whoever's going to actually do the design for us. I think the actual application and printing probably wouldn't take very long. And I think that the design phase would take as long as we want it to take.
Who do we need to get to do the design phase? How do we want to get?
I think we would want to get some quotes for a vendor, like or an artist rather. Get some pricing, look at some.
Do we want me to still go to that place that was gonna do the mural?
Yeah, because I think let's talk to the vendor first and just see what they need in order to put the art on the vinyl. But once we know what they need, we can start reaching out to artists that we've already spoken to.
Okay.
And then I think either this committee or the board or staff, whomever we think is best suited, just needs to decide, like, this is the theme, this is what we want it to be. And then have the artist come back to us with some proposals.
When you say artist, I was thinking more of photo.
Oh, sure. Photographer, yeah.
So, I could be
Mhm.
wrong too, I suppose, but that's what my sort of view on it was. When somebody
If that's what we want to do, then yeah, I think same basic steps. I would want to, the other thing we want to keep in mind with photos is resolution. We want to make sure that it's the right resolution for
Yeah.
that space.
Yeah.
Rest of everyone's not like, is my vision going every time they look at it?
Yeah, no, it should be crisp.
Yeah.
It should be crisp, but there are people who can do that. There's camera optics that can do that. And, I mean, this one here, somebody did this big thing here. I mean, I don't know where they got that photo from. I haven't really studied that for crispness. Because it's sort of in a dark space. I don't think it really stands out that much, but up there,
It's
you sort of want to see that sort of.
all eyes are going to be on it.
The roof leak.
So we resolved the second leak. It's still good. We had Midstate come and patch it.
Where was it compared to the?
It was the same latitude as the current leak, just maybe 10 feet over. It was actually leaking around one of the light fixtures. So we had to get that resolved quickly. So yeah, I think based on the patchwork that Midstate did, we can confirm that it's related to the skylight. It's not a separate, it's not like a spot on the roof. It's related to the skylight.
So we're waiting for good weather so that they come up and water test that thing.
Yep.
Like rainy days like today don't count or wouldn't count or.
It's tougher because, you schedule them for a rainy day and it doesn't rain, but yeah, they can do their own pressure test up there as soon as we get an extended heat wave or, warm snap. But yeah, today would have been perfect for them to go up there.
And they're gonna. That test, right?
Yes, yep, there'll be a charge for diagnosing.
And we know what that would be. And is there any budget issue?
I don't think there's a budget issue. We haven't gotten a ballpark on it yet, but we'll get one before they do the work. I think it's we've got flex in the budget this year. So it's, there's never a good time for this type of work, but, there would have been a worse time.
But still.
So we're going to start doing book donations on 3/15, March 15th, I should say. We'll be doing the donations in the Normansko room. We've got the auction equipment has all been picked up, or the auctioned items have all been picked up. So that space is pretty much ready to start taking donations. And then we'll be taking donations through about April 27th or thereabouts, and then we'll take a week off before the book sale.
And so the book sale in terms of, who's gonna be taking the donations? From staff gonna be?
It'll be volunteers, but they'll be under the supervision of a staff member.
We do have the volunteers. Somebody to be here during the day? Is that what somebody's gonna sit there during the day and have people walk in?
Yep. So the during the posted donation hours, we will open that side door, and we'll direct people to bring their donations right to the door. There'll be no more than 6 volunteers at any time in that space, but there'll be a couple to actually take and sort the donations for quality, make sure that they're what we're looking for, and then we'll sort them by category.
Like, see, these are all outside the library years.
Yep. And we actually, so when we did interviews, because I did interview many of our volunteers, we had over 80. I interviewed over 50 of them, and then we've had another 26 or so apply. So we have a really strong volunteer base that we're building, and a lot of enthusiasm from the volunteers. So happy that we're doing this,
Oh, well.
happy that we're looking for volunteers.
What is the demographic of the volunteer base? Is it,
It was mostly adults. We had a couple of teenagers, but it was a fairly good cross section.
Did any of the ones I
I think so, but I'm not positive since I didn't check with them when I was interviewing them. So I don't recall offhand,
Okay.
the ones you sent. But no, a good age cross section, a good demographic cross section. I was pretty pleased.
yeah, but, so, everything is lining up for, book sale.
Mhm.
We're gonna have volume, we're gonna have volunteers, and it's just gonna be from there, you know, when that date comes, is we have the actual plan for how to. Set up.
We do. So we're going to be we requested 3 types of volunteers: book sorting volunteers, setup volunteers, and then cashier volunteers. So we've recruited for the donation folks. We'll recruit next for the actual setup people, and then we'll get cashiers as well. Because yeah, the setup is, more labor intensive. So it might, some people might not want to do it if they have physical restrictions.
Cafe equipment.
Yep. So yeah, false alarm. There was something I thought was a cooktop in there, and it was actually the top of one of the refrigerators. So that explains that.
Sure.
But yeah, those are. We didn't auction any of the cafe equipment.
Yeah.
Like we just left it where it was. So whatever we'd like to do, that's the last bit of equipment in there.
So sort of know what we can get for that. I'm skeptical of any cafe being able to go forward. I mean, at the end of the day, the bottom line is even though there's some sentiment to keep trying on the board, I think the staff of the library would give it a.
Has there been any serious, Barbara keeps bringing, she brought it up again at the personnel committee meeting, so like, has there been any?
No one. I've had over the
Okay.
past 9 months that I've been here, I've had maybe 5 people reach out to me out of curiosity to be like, are you planning to do another cafe?
She made a whole thing about like mentioning it again. She's like, they want to do it. And I'm like, has there been any actual? She keeps bringing it up, so that's why I just keep wondering why.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like.
No firm proposals, and
Okay.
I feel the same way you do, Bill. That I don't think it's viable.
The staff basically will vote it down, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if what killed the last iteration more than anything was staff hostility, and there is just if it is even more set that we're not going down this path again. So
And I agree too. I just, Barbara keeps bringing it up, so I don't know, like, if there's any actual, like.
I sent around, Forbes had an article, so you want to start a cafe. Part of
Mhm.
my cafe research, and I sent around to everybody that was on the cafe committee. Basically says, realistically, you're thinking about a cafe, you're talking $100,000 to $600,000. We spent $60,000. People want to say, what do we do? Well, if anything, we underspend for what you really need to do. And nobody can come up with, I want to do less than that, and defining what the less than that is, and who the hell would want to be a patron of it when there's other stuff that's just down the road that gives you what you really want at a price that is less than anything you can get here.
That's why I like the idea you have there of the coffee. Just let the people make their own coffee.
Well,
It's and you sent me the one that like car dealerships use, which is a more higher end version. I had one of my staff reach out to get a price quote, so we'll have more of that coming. But yeah, I think in terms of the cafe, because it hasn't been anything in the past year, people are still set on this is what it was.
Mhm.
Once we start using that space for other things, it'll become easier for people to visualize, oh, this doesn't have to be what it was. It could be something else. And, when we talk about like people who are interested in having a cafe, they're not necessarily interested in a cafe. They're interested in coffee and chairs,
Yeah.
And we can provide that in another way.
the Keurig thing at the front desk, those things make a lot of noise.
They do. And there's an odor.
There's an odor and just make a lot of noise, and then having somebody, the thing's not feel about it.
And does it have to be staff? Can it be volunteers?
It could be, yeah, but it's,
I'm just wondering, like, because you said like that might be an issue that the staff might not want to do it,
yeah.
but if the volunteers do it, would that be?
Or if we had a friends group, like this
That's what I
is
mean.
another project for like, as we build a friends group, this is another perfect activity for them.
Putting it at the front, that's just to me the noise of it alone. I don't like those things, the noise, and somebody, that's just.
It's disruptive.
Yeah. And I just don't know, just the layout of the cafe, there just isn't a convenient place to put something. The ATMs, does anybody use the ATM machine?
We get minimal usage from it.
We bought it, so.
Yeah, we're not paying a rental price for it, which is nice, but
Just that space alone, one of those car dealership things would fit nicely there, but the thing there is you gotta get the plumbing. Those things are, hooked up with plumbing and anything else is, somebody's gotta go by the picture. Yeah, I think that idea is just DOA.
It would be, I think it would very quickly become a big headache. So these are all possibilities, like things we can kick around, but yeah, I think kind of just moving on from it as a concept.
I just thought the layout of the library just doesn't facilitate it, and dedicating one room of the Norman Skill size to a coffee machine is just wishful thinking.
Yeah. And especially like we were talking about with the number of groups that want to have meetings and programs here, that's a big popular piece of real estate that could be a lot of things. I don't think so.
Winter's over. And so hopefully you won't need snow plowing.
You've jinxed us. Now it's going to snow next weekend.
It's like on the weather.
There you go. We're good.
It seems like the temperatures are starting to get warmer.
The average is higher. Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Got my son playing. Without fail. Every Saturday morning, 8:00, I got a semi-enclosed, which means basically just start room fire. So the wind blows through it. And it's, whatever the outside temperature is, that's the temperature. Without fail, the coldest hour of the week, every week, when it's winter, it's 8:00. And this week right here, it is setting up to be Saturday morning, will be windy and the coldest. Weekend before Christmas, that was brutally cold. His first tournament. It was 2 degrees. It was brutal cold.
He's building character.
Yeah, I know, it is.
is.
All day, so. Couple of hour and a half, you gotta play another round.
That's better to be playing than sitting.
Yeah, no. Like dad,
Yeah.
I was hoping with the farmer's market that they could have switched it to Saturday, 'cause Saturday would have been such a better.
It would make many of our problems go away. Many of our challenges.
Cause then we could have the library with the bathrooms and like it just would have, yeah. I was just hoping, but he's like, I can't do it. I'm like, darn it. Like,
Yeah, it's tough.
was it always Sunday or was it just, that was always his angle?
I think since he started here, it's always been on
It's always
Friday.
been on Sunday.
Yeah.
So from
Yeah.
we have to vote on this with the full board, that we're going from 1 hour to 3 hours. We just gonna tell them that's what we did.
For the contract?
Yeah.
Yeah, should be.
I think you need to make the recommendation, that would be the committee's recommendation. And it may also be, that is pending legal review. There might be a compelling reason from our lawyer not to do it.
I said, we're talking about a 5,
That's a long.
that's a long commitment. And 3 is more reasonable, 5
Nice,
is like.
out there to say, oh, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, oh, fuck, of course it is more reasonable.
Yeah.
Nothing else is votable.
I don't believe so. Nothing else requires a vote.
Let's just stop and work on it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's conclude the meeting here. So
Would you want, can we see the room real quick?
That one? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I've never been in there really. So like.
If you guys want to adjourn, well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd just like to see it, just because we always
no,
talk
for
about
sure,
it.
that's your due